It was terrifying, but it was exciting.
So what have you built and what inspired you to build it?
So I've built a lot of different things, but the thing I'm going to talk about today is Create and Cultivate. It's an online platform and offline event series for women looking to create and cultivate the career of their dreams. I built it through like a million different things, really just kind of figuring it out along the way, saying yes, I guess, and figuring it out.
So one of the things that was so funny is we're now meeting each other for the first time in real life. We were both pictured side by side next to each other in Ad Week, the Disruptors, Top 40 Women, Disrupting Media and Marketing.
Yes.
So it's so great. I love a few things about you and what you're doing. I love that it's collaboration over competition. So you're all about getting as many women to converge in this space as possible, which is so, so important. I think you've done a really incredible job in two ways. One is creating strategic brand partnerships. So would love to hear how you've been able to do that. And the other is getting these incredible brand ambassadors on board in this very organic, real way where they love your brand. Can you talk a little bit about those two things?
Yeah, well, first thanks, and what's up, fellow
Yeah,
disruptor?
nice to
Love
meet
it.
you, yeah.
The business I ran before Create and Cultivate was a marketing and events agency, so it was on the B2B side. So I got to work with so many cool brands, bringing to life their visions, their events, their influencer campaigns, like you name it, I did it. And I love working with brands. So I had a really deep understanding of what brands were looking for when it came to things like digital campaigns and experiential. And so when I started Create and Cultivate, I really treated it like an agency in the sense that when I went out for brands to be part of this conference, I was able to strategically approach them with decks and information that I knew they would be looking for. So I was saying, here's the value you're getting out of this, here's what the approach will be. And it was a very organic way, but also it included digital, it included a physical activation, it included a speaking opportunity, it included all these different things. So for me, the right brands who got it came on board very early, which was really wonderful. And they happened to be very cool, very forward-thinking brands. So some of our early sponsors, were people like Warby Parker and Glossier and things like that. So, and then of course, where the cool brands go, everyone follows. Right. So, we were able to, from there, kind of create more waves and more traction in different industries. And one thing that I started to notice was early on, being a female-centric event, fashion and beauty brands were the most obvious choice to kind of work with us. But what we really wanted to see was finance brands, technology brands, like the brands that we use as business owners, that we have our employees use as part of it. But again, those companies at the time didn't think of this as an important demographic,
Right.
truly. And so what has happened and come full circle with CNC, which is really wonderful, is now we have amazing partnership with MasterCard. We work with Microsoft all the time, QuickBooks. And then in terms of the people being our own brand advocates, we've been really fortunate that our message has resonated with very important, powerful women who have been a champion for us, long term, and have sent those intro emails that you're dying to get, and been able to really build a community of women, both on the small end, of their career, and at the very top. And so we've been really lucky.
So what would you give advice to a woman who's starting off, who maybe doesn't have your connections, but is looking to align with a few different women to help kind of amplify her message?
You know what I did? I had a lot of persistence. I sent a lot of cold emails that never got answered, but I followed up, and really made it worth their while. You have to go over after every lead, every contact, and really find your own way. And I still am that way to this day. Like if there's women that I've definitely always wanted to speak, and now all of a sudden they'll end up in my inbox, and it's such an unreal experience. But being on the other side of that is very difficult, and it feels like it's never going to happen. And I had years of people not responding to me. So I think it's just being persistent, keeping your message super tight, and making sure that you know what you're offering that person, what you're bringing to the table for them.
So you talk about persistence, which is an important leadership quality. Were you a born leader, or did you have to learn to become one?
I mean, I don't think I was a born leader. I mean, I think I grew up around entrepreneurs. So my mom and dad are entrepreneurs. My sister's an entrepreneur. My parents always owned their own business. I always just grew up around a really hard, strong work ethic. Like, my parents were constantly working at home, building their business. And so that's what I knew. And so when I worked in the corporate world, I was that way too. I gave everything. I was always working so hard, which is why I think I moved up very quickly as a very young person. But over time, when you all of a sudden when I was sort of like, I'm an entrepreneur, I own a company, I had to learn a lot, and I think, through experience, I'll be an entrepreneur now almost 10 years. I think you learn by experience in a lot of different ways. It doesn't matter if you have your MBA or this or that. Like, I think truly like the best way to learn and build a business is to either one, work for a startup and work next to a founder and just see what they do all day, or two, really just jump in.
So one of the things that I think is so important that many people are figuring out, they're building a community and they don't know when to start that brand sponsor conversation or when to align with influencers and that sort of thing. And I think what you're such a powerful example of is you've got to do that out of the gate. You want to start that at the very beginning, even if it means it still doesn't turn for a while. It's going to take a while to turn, but
Totally.
you need to start planting those seeds, right?
Absolutely. So for me, what was interesting is I overlapped years of my businesses. So I had my agency for 3 years, and then I had Create Cultivate for 3 years. So I was running both out of like the same offices, the same company. CNC didn't have any employees until it eventually did. But I had a full year where I was part-time at both companies. And this wasn't that long ago, but what naturally started to happen was the community was building over time, and then the interest started to build. Mm-hmm. And so I always say, like, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to go where the momentum is. Like, where are people finding interest? Like, if you're an owner of a bakery and you're like, my cherry pie is the shit, like it's amazing, it's delicious, but like your chocolate chip cookies sell out every day, right. Like pay attention to that.
Yeah, go to the heat.
Yes, go to the heat. So like CNC was the heat, and so it was one of those things where after I made the full leap to come over, it just made like, we have to make money, like we're not doing this for fun. I have employees I need to pay. Let's bring in the brands to help subsidize these costs.
Love it. You talk about having a mother that was an entrepreneur. Who was the first woman you looked up to and why? Was it her and seeing it modeled for yourself?
Definitely Joanne.
Okay.
Joanne is a powerhouse. So she ran all the financials for my parents' company. She's a boss in every single way. I in my book, call her my unofficial co-founder of all my companies because she truly is. Whether you're building the business or not, like she was so like, take care of yourself like in this world. And so I had that mentality for a really long time, and coupled with her work ethic, and her persistence, she's the most persistent person. She really taught me everything that I know and was able to really give me that advice and that shoulder to lean on, because starting a business is extremely isolating. It's extremely difficult. It doesn't matter how long you're doing it, whether you're month 1 or year 10, it's very, very difficult. And no one will understand that, but you, right. As the founder, or you and your co-founder, whatever it might be, is like no one will ever know what it's like to be in your shoes. So to have that support system in place, it could be your mom, it could be someone else, is so important.
It's the invisible network, and I love. We talk to so many different women, and they have this, mom who's behind.
Yeah, behind every woman is a great mom.
Is a great mom.
Yeah.
We are our mother's daughters.
Yes.
We're gonna do a hard right turn. What's the greatest risk you've taken so far?
Yeah, I think the biggest risk was my previous company I had, which was, I said, marketing and events agency. I knew how to do that. I was like, I could do this all day long. That was my old job. That's what I did. I understood that world. I never had planned a large event in my life. Like, I was not a conference expert by any means. And so basically saying like, I'm gonna walk away and sell this company, and invest my own money into this new company and just be like, bye, and figure it out was terrifying. I had no idea how we were gonna scale it, grow it, make money. I hired one employee and just thought like, well, okay, we'll figure it out. So putting your own money on the line is always scary and always risky. But the reason that I did that was someone said to me, if you're not willing to bet money on yourself, then who are you going to bet money on?
It's one of the first questions before investing in a company that I ask the founder is how much of your personal capital have you put invested in the business, and what have you leveraged that terrifies you?
Yeah. Everything. and I think you have to be that way about your business. Yeah. No, it's like, and so for me, that was the biggest risk, and obviously now like the biggest reward, seeing it, hindsight's 2020. But it was terrifying, but it was exciting, and I think starting your second business is really kind of a fun experience, because you take everything that went wrong with that first company, you reapply it to the second one, you kind of know more about, whether it's scale or hiring or this or that or whatever it is, and you kind of take those things and you're able to kind of reapproach them in a new way.
So we know a lot about you professionally, and I'd love to talk about a bit about kind of personal breakdowns. So when have you broken down personally, You know, you
This
can
week,
give a professional
today,
example,
what
but
are
how'd you
we-
break through? Yeah.
No, I mean all the time. I mean, I think it's like, I was like, I think my like baseline is operating at like a mild panic attack. And it's one of those things where as a business owner, like, look, every day is stressful, but that stress kind of becomes, like I said, your baseline, like you're able to really cope and deal with things. And I think I've gotten better, early on, my first company, I was 23 when I started it. Any fire, any negative email from a sponsor or client or whatever it was like the end of the world. Like it was like,
And you think that's what's gonna sink you.
Yes, you're
Right.
like, this is it. Let's close up shop.
Yeah.
We're good here. But you learn to weather the storms. I think like for me, I have weathered, I can't even tell you how many storms, whether it's, thinking you're gonna go out for funding, not going out for funding, like having a sponsor upset, mitigating that response. I think I'm a professional fire putter outer at this point, and it doesn't faze me anymore because there's things where I thought this is gonna level me, and it never has.
So when do you doubt yourself, and how do you manage that?
I think if you doubt yourself, then you're dead. Like, I think for me, it's like I can never doubt myself. I have to go with my gut. My gut served me very, very well. I think for me, I don't have self-doubt. I think it's proving people who may doubt you wrong is more of what I'm dealing with.
We have a list in our office, a running list
Of people who doubt you?
of the doubters. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice
Just
motivating
cross them
principles.
off
Yeah,
the list. Yeah,
proved
bye.
you wrong, you.
Yeah.
So when you think about knowing when to leave someone or something, this is something that we struggle so much with as women, and often, I think hang on for a bit too long.
Totally.
How do you manage that?
Yeah, I think I'm 100% guilty of that. I think it's really difficult because you really want to believe in people and like believe that, it's gonna, you're like, no, but it's okay, we'll figure it out. I think we do that a lot. I think, and then because I think we get lambasted if we are aggressive. If we make tough decisions, if we make tough calls, if we're, even if like sometimes for me, it's like, I'm like, hey, let's do this. Everyone's like, oh, she's bossy. I'm the boss. Like that's my job, is to make sure everyone's doing their job. I think on the other end, like when to leave, a good example of this is like my old company. Selling that, I built that company for 7 years. I had employees there that had been there for 4+ years, It was a difficult decision, but it was one of those things where I saw the vision of CNC, I saw the momentum, and I made the decision to sell and move on from that company.
So you built and scaled one company, you're now building and rapidly scaling another. You've had so many brave moments along the way, but what would you say is the bravest moment? And then how do you have a daily practice of being brave?
Oh my God, I feel like showing up every day is being brave. I think we live in a world where, unfortunately, fortunately people like to build people up, right, and see women succeed, but there is a large contingency of people that want to see someone fail. And I think that's a lingering threat, all the time for me as a business owner, for me as a woman, and people want to judge you and people want to think you're not qualified to speak on something or not be there or not show up or have a seat at the table. So every day, as women founders, we have to show up,
Right.
be brave, and prove a lot of people wrong.
I love it. What do you see yourself building next?
Oh my God, to think of like even what's next is like so exhausting.
Maybe it's just doing what you're already
doing what
planning
we're
on
already
doing.
doing. Yeah, no, but I think with Create Cultivate, like our vision for the next 5 years is we want this to be the go-to place for the modern working woman. And we want to be on your TV, we want to be on your computer screen, we want to be the event that you go to, we want to be the content that you download, we want to be everywhere for that woman and providing the tools, tips, and tricks she needs to succeed in business or start her own.
So knowing what you know now, was it worth it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no regrets. You can't live that way. Absolutely not. It's so amazing. Anytime I go to an event and get to meet any of our attendees or someone who said, I went in and asked for a raise because of you, or I met my business partner and started my company because of you, or whatever it is, makes it all worthwhile.
Those personal stories.
Yes, absolutely. It makes the long nights, the headaches, the nightmares, the drama, all of it worth it.
Okay, so this is 3 words or less. Whatever comes to mind, you're just gonna
3
end up
words?
hitting me with.
Okay.
Yeah. First, what do you value most in others?
Loyalty.
What do you value most in yourself?
Hard work.
What holds you back?
Time.
One thing you're afraid of?
Death. Dark.
One thing you'd change about yourself?
Hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Relaxing. I wish I could be better at that.
What is your biggest vice?
Bad TV.
What keeps you sane?
My husband.
Something you wish you would have kept doing?
Exercising.
Something you wish you would have stopped sooner?
Biting my nails.
What keeps you going and building?
The community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was awesome.
I love my fellow disruptor.
Yes. So good.